you start. You always start. You've done the starting for
I didn't realise it was
15
starting.
pods.
Sorry, I was just waiting for you. I'm yawning. Right, ready?
Steady.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to our podcast.
Lez-Come-Together.
I'm Jana.
And I'm Jo.
Hi, Jo.
Hey, Jana. This has been a long time since we last podded.
I forgot what you look like. You actually, you look good.
I tell you, this is the estrogen helping with my
Your
hair.
hair is shiny.
It
Your
is.
skin is all like...
Well, it's red because I've had a bit of alcohol because Jana's tried to make me funny by feeding me alcohol.
It's not going to help, is it?
No.
You are naturally funny. You don't need alcohol, darling.
Thank you.
I should have had some, though.
I know. Like, you come to mine and you drive and you can't have any, and then we're at yours today.
No.
We're at Jana's today, if there's any difference.
Yes.
And you haven't had any.
I know.
But
I can't
why
be
not?
bothered. I just can't. That's it. I remembered. I'm working tomorrow morning. We have zero tolerance at work, so
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. And you have to, it's earlies as well, isn't it? What time do you have to go?
I'll get up at 5:30. So, so come on, let's do this.
Sorry, let's do this. No
so
one
I
wants
can
to
get rid of
know.
you and go to bed.
Okay. So, Jana, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Yeah, good. It's been absolutely crazy mad. We have managed to move father-in-law from Bournemouth to Woking. My wife, Molly, has done amazing.
My wife.
I haven't said that for a while, so I felt like getting it in. Has done absolutely amazing job because she and her brother are the power of attorney for her dad. So they had to do everything.
And he's housebound, isn't it? Well, bedbound.
Bedbound.
Right.
So they sold his house, they bought him a flat, they sorted out all the social care, healthcare, hospital carers, everything, and we moved him. It was absolutely crazy, but we did it. So he now lives around the corner. Yay! And hopefully that will make our lives a little bit easier rather than driving down to Bournemouth, when something goes wrong.
So, but that's not all. That's like the difficult things you've been doing. But you've been doing some fun things too.
Have I seen you since we've come back from Slovakia? I don't think I have.
No.
So we went back home for Easter.
Lovely.
Had a lovely time with my sister in Slovakia, celebrating Easter. Loads of traditions, so that was good. Came back and people were like, "Oh, how was your holiday? When's your next one?" And I was literally in about 10 days. And they're like, "You kidding?" Nope. Went to Peak District with my wife for a long weekend, so that was lovely.
And what was really cool is you went and saw the house of Gentleman Jack.
Yes,
And
Shibden Hole. Oh, it was amazing. So the plan was we go to Clit Hero.
What is Clit Hero?
Okay, Clitheroe. That's how it's spelled. That's how I read it. Clit Hero.
Well, so you wanted to go there because you felt you were part of that gang?
Yes, and because Amber and Natalie live there, of course.
Okay. Brilliant.
Of course they do.
Of course they do.
It's the centre of universe
For lesbians.
for lesbians.
Why not?
The Clit Hero.
So go to Clit Hero, everybody, right?
So the plan was to go and visit them up north and then make our way down through Halifax and Peak District. And we saw Amber. Didn't see Natalie, unfortunately. Still saw Amber in Halifax, which was absolutely wonderful. Biggest hugs all around. And then, we went and visited Shibden Hall, which was,
So for
lesbian in heaven.
Well, exactly. So for those that don't know, Gentleman Jack was the TV show, but it's actually about a historical character who is real, who was a very she was a lesbian before lesbians were allowed, and she wasn't hiding it, and she was a landowner, and she also protected rights of the poor in the area.
She tried to fight for women's rights because obviously women were not allowed to vote and stuff.
Yes.
But, she came from money and estates where she was renting it out and stuff. So although she couldn't vote, the people that lived in her properties, it was almost like this is what we found out while we were there, that she wasn't as nice as she was portrayed in Gentleman Jack in real life. So to a point, she maybe did put some pressure on these people to vote the way she wanted the vote to go.
Okay. You have to use means when you're completely
She was one
oppressed.
strong woman, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, her diaries were coded. No one could read them, but then her cousin, when she passed away, and his friend decoded them and were mortified because it was very, very detailed, saucy relationships with women. Almost pornographic to a point, apparently.
Okay.
Obviously, that wasn't quite portrayed like that in Gentleman Jack, but still quite saucy. But
Yeah,
apparently,
yeah.
the diaries are on a different level.
And what's the name of the lady again?
Anne Lister.
Anne Lister. Okay.
So John Lister, who was a cousin, decoded them, and rather than actually getting rid of them, he never spoke about it because that would put shame on a family.
Yeah.
You know, they're a very well-known family.
Yeah.
But luckily, he didn't destroy them.
So now,
So
and could you see them on display? When
yeah, there's bits and pieces, yeah.
Okay.
I tried, you can't read it.
Oh, because it's coded. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
The interesting, so there was a guy who worked there as a volunteer, and I went to ask him a question, and we ended up talking to him for an hour, and it was fascinating.
Wow.
Because things he told us were just so cool. And just one more thing about the codes. So it was so difficult that not only, once they decoded it, actually the words were like, some of the words she would use, like going to Italy, actually meant having sex with a woman.
Oh, there
but
you
it
go,
took
everybody.
them some time to work
know
it
where to
out.
go on
that
holiday.
actually, when she mentioned she's going to Italy, she was having some fun time with a lady.
Oh, and so was she a bit of a womanizer? Okay.
Yeah.
You can't decode.
Don't know. Anyway, it was awesome. So a bit of history there. Go and see Shibden Hall if you're into lesbian history.
Yeah, which I know we all are. Right, so, well, that was good. So you've been busy.
What about you?
When did we last see each other? I feel like, this is the thing when you've got kids, and my life is do, repeat, return, do again type thing. Get up,
lovely.
you get through the day, you go to bed, and you do it all again.
That sounds so much fun.
And it really is.
So while you were doing that, I had 2 holidays.
Yeah. But we do go on holiday for half term with the rest of the world and get stuck on the motorways for hours in a couple of weeks. Way!
Sounds lovely. Where are you going?
Exmouth.
Exmouth, right.
Yeah, so that'd be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be lovely. I hope the
Hopefully.
weather's as good as it was for us in Peak District.
It's been amazing, so let's hope that stays. The summer is here, let's hope.
Woohoo!
So, since we've last spoken, we've had some pinging of the pod.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, thank you people for
Pod.
being in touch. You really do. It makes our day when we read your messages.
Yeah. Who was first?
Well, we had our friend Wendy. We know Wendy from an earlier pod where we said how we met, because that was thanks to Wendy. She's been in touch. Wendy's not very well at the moment, so this is a massive, big heart and love to you, Wendy. Get well soon.
Yes, sending lots and lots of love, Wendy.
But she said there's one good thing about being unwell and not having the strength to be up and about.
She can listen to Lez-Come-Together pod.
That's what it is. So that made my day. She also agreed with me that it should be
Oh, piss off.
Jo and Jana, not Jana and Jo, because you should respect your elders. And at that point, I went, I might not mention that because it reiterates
It's
I'm
the
on.
first thing you said to me. Anyway,
Wendy said.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe we throw this back out to you people and let us know. Do you think Jana and Jo is okay, or should it be Jo and Jana?
It's okay. We'll let you.
I really honestly don't care, but I should be first.
So competitive. So then, lovely cat, Dr. Cat, I
Oh,
think we
dear.
should call her.
I'm
So
worried.
Dr. Cat was in touch to say, excellent episode, but she wants us to know that you don't have to have a period, as Jo said, as long as you're on the coil, which is I need to read this because I can't, the Mirena coil, which I've probably butchered, which is the hormone coil.
Right.
So you don't need a period. Just saying.
I was sorry. So what am I like? Okay, sorry, Dr. Cat. But that doesn't. What do you mean? I want explanation
Of
Like,
why
do-
you don't need a
yeah,
period.
like-
I already said, because you've taken hormones that tell your body not to bother to get ready for a baby, and you only lose your blood so your body is ready for a baby, and the hormones are saying no baby coming. I know what. Let me give you this example. When you're pregnant,
Yep.
you don't have a period
True.
because your body knows not to get rid because everything's right as it is. So maybe this coil just makes you feel like you're pregnant.
But maybe, but that's natural. You're pregnant. That happened naturally. So naturally, you're now losing your period. When you're giving birth, you start your period. That's natural.
Because the body is
progression
getting
of-
ready for a baby.
Yeah.
And you're telling it with these hormones, I'm not having a baby. As in, I'm not. Anyway.
Aren't these hormones chemicals? Mirena.
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 Mirena. Mirena.
Okay, so Dr. Cat, really, really appreciate this. But let us know, are these chemicals? Because are women putting chemicals in their body to stop what naturally is a period? And it's a good thing for the body to actually go through that process.
So, right, what we're trying to say is that you would like to challenge a doctor qualified
No.
with no experience in this area at all. Let's move swiftly on.
Okay, thank you, bye.
So, who else contacted us?
Ruby.
Oh.
Well, she said she's going to email in and tell you off.
Oh no, what have I done?
Well, she didn't email, but she sent me a WhatsApp and it was beautiful. She said she is so super proud of me how I defended the whole thing where we were talking about body image and, you know, like when you potentially maybe said something like some people are just so lucky they're born with muscle, like Ruby, and that's that. It doesn't take much for them. And I did challenge you, I did correct you.
Yes.
And said that is not true. Someone like her and many others have to work really, really hard. And she said, yeah, well done for standing up for the, community of people that have to work hard to be muscly.
And I would just stand corrected and say, Ruby, absolutely, you are clearly worked really hard. Jana showed me the picture. And apologies to anyone that felt that I was insinuating that level of muscle tone comes without hard work, because I didn't. I really meant that there are some people that are naturally more muscular than others, but anybody that has defined muscles really has to work hard at it. So
I don't think you realised the amount of muscle definition she had. That's what it was. So once I showed you picture, surely you thought, wow, okay.
And I've been really impressed with your muscle definition.
Oh, have you?
On Insta, you've got all those pictures. And I mean, I do also think at some point you're just going to go, oh, just give me back the lattes and donuts, and then it's all going.
I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, good.
I just had my tuna and pasta before you came, and
yummy.
I'm really happy.
Fish breath.
Yeah, sorry.
I had tuna too.
Did you?
So we're all good. Fishy breath together.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Right. So thank you, Ruby, and thank you for making Jana so happy.
Yes.
Because she's really pleased, and so should be. You look amazing.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this journey for the last few years. Just learning more about nutrition and how to stay fit.
Yeah. And that's what's important. It's about feeling good and health. So whatever that it looks like for everybody, do what you can, because we only get so long on this planet, and it's so great when you can get up off the chair and go places without having to worry about it hurts. And some of that is nothing to do with keeping healthy. We know beautiful Molly, who we love, sometimes struggle, and she's one of the fittest people and works as hard as anybody on her health. But it's just she has health issues that get her.
But maybe if she didn't work so hard to be fit, or didn't have such a physical job, she'd be really struggling now. But because she's fit, she's actually coping with it really well. So
that's true. That's true. Who else pinged the pod?
Oh, well, Amber pinged the pod, but I also saw her. So what did we call that?
She squeezed you.
Aww.
No. Well, I did see the picture. There was a squeeze or two.
She squidged the pod.
She squidged the pod.
Amber came back to us after we talked about dead naming. We were looking for someone to help us call it something nicer than dead name.
Yeah.
And she said that she used to use a word for the birth name, of course.
And she also said she hated that term, dead naming, because she felt it was suggesting that you didn't like the name you were given, or B, had some sort of horrific childhood and insulted your parents, and so she was like much happier with birth name. And I think she was pleased that we picked that topic and said, I'm not sure that's for everybody, that's not an appropriate name.
Yeah, so thank you, Amber, as always, for being in the pod.
And then we had Liz. So Liz is a friend from school.
Oh, yeah.
She works for Apple and is very well informed. I'm still trying to get her to get us to be, pod of the week from Apple, because that, might get a few more listeners.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So you actually know Liz, don't you?
You went to school with Liz?
Yeah, so I saw the email on our email.
Which I never read.
From this lady, and I read it. I'm like, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Well, yeah, that's Liz.
Yeah. It was beautifully written. with lots of love, but also that was like, girls,
Get on this.
get on this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is some stranger putting so much love and energy, but actually telling us off a little bit. We need to do something about this. And I said, and I messaged you, and you never read any of those messages. I said, don't worry, I'm dealing with this. I am going to email this lady. By the way, do you know her? No reply.
Yeah.
What did I do? I replied to her. And then you said, oh yeah, that's my friend. I'm like, for fuck's sake, Joe.
Yeah.
Could
Sorry.
you just let me know next time? Because I was shitting myself.
Oh, that you've been told off by Liz. Although she is a scary woman. No, not at all. So what Liz's complaint was when the Supreme Court ruling came out on the definition of a woman, she was, like loads of people, and we'll talk about that in a minute, upset and felt like there's a few isolated incidents which is actually making a large population of a minority being discriminated against, and she was really looking forward to our discussion on it and how we felt about it. And obviously what we actually did was say, guys, we need a bit more time because this is a really big topic. But
Stupidly, we posted the video just for people to understand that how we feel. But I think the way it came across is that we're not doing another pod. But what we meant to say is we're just not ready to do one now. And it was kind of like an apology, but we were always planning to do a pod on this.
This is so important. So
it was just really difficult to try to work the balance of like talking about this topic that is so horrible at the moment and actually not taken away from it by making our pod light as well. So just trying to find the right balance.
And also this is changing all the time because it's quite a new ruling and the interpretation of that ruling isn't yet crystallized.
No.
So we also didn't want to butcher it by saying out of date stuff. So, but we will talk about it. The only thing I wanted to do before we talk about it is I was at a barbecue the other day with family friends, and somebody made a comment that I thought we really need to just explain a real basic, which I know all our listeners know, but it's so important.
But maybe not all. Maybe not all. There's people out there that don't, I guess.
Okay. So it was the difference between sexuality and gender identity. So do you want to explain that to us?
Okay, I can start with sexuality, and that's all about who you're attracted to. As in, my sexuality is being a lesbian. I'm attracted to women. So you can be gay, or you can be straight, or you can be bisexual. That's nothing to do with gender. You know, that is my sexuality and my preference and my feelings towards other genders.
No, don't use gender.
No.
Well, who you're attracted to. There you
go. I nearly got that wrong.
And whereas gender identity is how you feel about yourself. It's in your head. It's nothing to do with anybody else. It's how you feel. And I think that's really important because the comment they said was they were a bit confused by somebody who's non-binary and what's the difference between that and bisexual. And I sort of explained to them, non-binary is not about attraction. It's about you don't identify as either a man or a woman. You just don't feel
like you fall into either of those.
Yeah,
like.
Exactly. So all the stereotypes that relate to how a man feels, you don't feel like that. All the stereotypes that relate to how a woman feels, you don't feel like that. You just can't identify. So you just don't want to label yourself. And that's when people use the term they.
Yeah.
Whereas bisexual could be a man, could be a woman. They're happy with their identity, but they're attracted to both of the other sex. You could get somebody who's non-binary that's not attracted to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many options. We are so fluid.
Yeah.
We're so fluid with our sexuality, and we are so fluid with our gender identity. We always have been fluid. This is not a new thing. We just putting names to it.
It's true.
And it's scaring people, but it's always been there.
And honestly, why is it okay that we can have spectrums for things like neurodiversity? You know, like autism, you can be on a spectrum, which means you can have extreme, or you can be relatively presenting as if you don't have autism. And surely that's the same with things like sexuality and gender identity. Some people might be like, I have nothing that doesn't feel womanly to me, and I'm a woman. And there might be other people that say, yeah, I'm happy being a woman, but there's loads of things where I'd be like, yeah, I'm very manly in that. And so there's somewhere else on the spectrum. I think that's okay. I think we have to be educating ourselves on this.
And, you know, I hope that everyone that listens to us and our pod, it's got no other feelings than feeling love for everyone within our community. I guess what I'm trying to say, I would hate if there were transphobic people listen to our pod, and I'd rather they didn't.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, transphobic people right now, I'd rather not come across.
Yeah.
I mean, and if there is someone that is potentially transphobic listening to our pod, please listen and understand, you know, when we start talking in a little while about the whole situation at the moment, these are people that we're talking about. And, you know,
with mothers and brothers and
Yeah.
sisters, and people that care for them like you care for your mother and brother and sister.
And I know that sometimes as a community we are a little bit divided, and there are people that don't like the other parts of the community. But
So
to me,
we know gay and lesbian people that are transphobic.
Yes.
Yeah.
well, yes, I tend to not
Associate
spend my
with them.
time
Okay.
or associate with them, because I think why?
And that's fine. But I would be of a different opinion in the fact that I would love somebody who's transphobic to listen to this, but listen to it to try and understand the other side, because there are things that come from lack of education. And if it's from a place of a lack of education, then listen and make different decisions, hopefully. If these people are haters, then don't listen, because no whatever we say, it's not going to change your mind.
It's going to make you angry.
Yeah, and you're going to use it to hate people, and we don't want that.
No, we don't. Like, we should just, we're one community and we should stick together.
Yeah. So, on this topic then, so what has triggered all of this is this Supreme Court ruling, which was brought by some Scottish women.
Yeah, Women for Scotland, was it, or something?
And they were saying that they didn't agree, or the definition of what a woman was had never been clearly challenged in law, and they wanted to challenge it and get it interpreted. And the Supreme Court ruled that the interpretation is that a woman is someone who is born with female genitalia at birth, and so has woman written on their birth certificate.
Yeah. So a woman's only someone that is biologically born as a female.
Yeah.
With a female sex. So what this is saying, basically, that trans women are not women. But why are we talking only about trans women? Where do trans men come into this?
Well, I think because the ruling was only asking for a definition of what does woman stand for, I think. So I don't think they looked at the definition of man, but you could extrapolate it.
Yeah.
That's normally what happens in law. But one of the topics right now is that there has been little interpretation of exactly what that means. So for the trans community, what it means is uncertainty and dread and fear that loads of places in public where previously they felt maybe not welcome, but at least that they are allowed to go to, they're worried they're going to be challenged and no longer welcome.
And this has brought on anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts for people that I know. And that is not on.
Yeah.
You know, these are women that most of them actually had a fully transitioned, not only socially, but surgically.
Yeah.
They have lived their lives as a woman.
Yeah.
For years. And now they potentially being told, sorry, you're not a woman. There is no law on the toilets, using the bathrooms. There is no law. But it has given maybe some people empowerment to challenge people in the toilets. I mean, I don't know who decides that a woman walks in and that you challenge the fact that perhaps she is not a woman. I mean, who goes policing toilets anyway?
Well, that is a good point. But that brought us up with the other topic, which was butch women are affected by this who are not trans in any way. Because if you've got someone who decides it's suddenly their role in life to police toilets, that they could challenge anybody that they're, unless you've got big tits and really big hair, what's stopping you challenge anybody? And the reality is, hopefully that's not happening, but it doesn't matter what's happening. It's how it makes people feel and the anxiety it creates in them. And that's what's making people's mental health, everything about their daily lives, miserable.
It's not simple. It really isn't simple. And it's causing a lot more issues at the moment. I'll give you an example. So we've touched on this on the video we posted about me as a masculine woman having issues at the moment. So I was talking to someone who is gay, part of our community, but is also disabled, right? Bear with me.
Yeah.
So I was trying to explain that we were at a meeting yesterday in a library, like a whole born hall full of families, loads of kids, mummies with their kids. I'm going to the toilet and I'm dreading it because there's going to be little boys and little girls with their mums, and I know I'm going to get challenged potentially, or at least looked at, because I look quite masculine. And yesterday I wore jeans and quite a loose sort of hoodie, my short hair, quite masculine, walking into that toilet, the anxiety I feel. But I thought, I'm going to do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And I did, and there was only one person, that kind of a child, that looked at me and then looked away and then just smiled. So it's all good. I quickly run into the toilet, do my business, wash my hands, walk out.
But you have a level of anxiety that is ridiculous when you're just wanting a wee.
I know, I shouldn't feel like that. Anyway, later on in the meeting, we were talking about this, and I mentioned this. And I said that recently, since the ruling, I have been potentially using outside bushes when I can, because where I work on the railway anyway, sometimes it's just easier. But also, rather than going into the toilet, and especially when I'm at work and I wear my PPE, it is again quite masculine.
Yeah.
And when I walk into the toilet in my full orange, potentially hard hat,
I mean, it's not attractive, let's be honest. It's
well, actually, I pull it off quite well, thank you very much.
Right,
I think it's very attractive, but it's very hard to decide, where I stand on the gender. Just to avoid any kind of arguments or someone challenging me, I would use disabled toilets. Do you think this is right? That I should use disabled toilet if I feel uncomfortable?
I think you should absolutely have the right to use whatever toilet you want to use.
Well, so the person that was at the meeting who's disabled got so upset by this. I felt so bad. And I totally 100% agree with her. Now, not all disabilities are visible. So I could still be disabled. You don't know that. You can't challenge that, really. But she's saying most of disabled toilets are not working. And she is quite severely disabled and has got huge problems with her bladder. And when she has to go, she has to go. And loads of times she'll come to a toilet and it's not working, but there's another one. So she'll try to go in there, and there's a mum with a kid. They clearly are not disabled. They're just using it for convenience. Or potentially there could be someone like me who is not disabled, but is using disabled toilet because I'm trying to deal with my fucking anxiety because of what this ruling has caused.
I can see that is really
and
difficult.
She is waiting in pain to use that one disabled toilet that is available to her. This is not right.
No.
We should not be pushed to use disabled toilets.
No, I agree with you. And there should be adequate number of toilets so that everybody gets to use the toilet when they need to, without pain, discrimination, without anxiety. I mean, it is such a basic human right. And the reason that I feel so passionate about this is, at one point, Vicky had to have an operation because of all the IVF stuff, and we'll get to that one day. And she lost a lot of blood, and the outcome of that was there were 3 days when she could not pass any urine. And I cannot tell you the agony and constant pain that causes that. If you feel like your bladder is not empty, causes real pain. So when she finally was able to go to the loo, she said to me, that was worse than she's given birth, she's had operation, that was the worst thing ever. And so now I'm like, everyone should be able to relieve themselves when they need to without any level of anxiety.
And I actually heard loads of trans women. I have loads of trans women and men in my circle, mostly women, to be honest. In my head, you're a woman, you're a trans woman, you are living your life as a woman. You go and use a female toilet.
Well, the irony of this is, when the what are they called?
EHRC.
Oh, there you go, you got it down. When they interpreted the law, they basically said that a trans woman
So this is, sorry, just for those that don't know, it's
Okay.
Equality Human Resource
No, Equality
Rights Commission.
Right.
Equality Human Rights Commission.
Right. So they try and advise people how to interpret the laws to ensure equality and human rights based on the laws that relate to it. And they came out quite quickly after the ruling and said, based on this ruling, trans women shouldn't be using female toilets, but they also said they shouldn't be using the toilets of the sex they were born, which basically then goes to they can't use any toilets, which is why they've actually retracted their advice and they're extending their consultation, I believe.
Yeah.
But this is crazy. We cannot have a law that means someone's basic human right to go to the toilet is violated. I know, and there's some. We'll put some links on our Insta. So one of the things I read was a mum of a trans woman, a girl who committed suicide. And what was really interesting is she said she watched the pictures of these 4 middle-class white women, middle-aged, celebrating this ruling where, you know, we've brought back female rights or whatever. And she was like, I would have been one of those women. I would never have celebrated that ruling until actually my daughter took her own life because she saw this coming. She saw that she was not going to be able to live an equal life where she felt valued because of how our society is moving. And then there's also this map that shows how the UK relates in terms of its rights. And if you Google that on the legal aspect, we've moved down to being a red country. a red country. You know, that's the Arab countries in terms of the rights of our community based on laws.
Absolutely horrendous. Disgusting. Yeah. But then what do you expect? Like a Surrey PCC, Police Crime Commissioner, she also celebrated this.
Yeah.
There you go.
There are 2 topics, and that's what Liz hinted at, where it's not acceptable, but you cannot label those topics on the trans community. So that topic is, and I know you don't want to talk about one of these, but there are cases when women are assaulted by men wearing a dress. And people then go back to, well, they were a trans. I do not believe this was a trans woman. I think this is a man dressing to create a crime.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like saying you shouldn't have priests because one of them's a paedophile. You cannot tarnish a whole section of our society because of crimes of 1 or 2.
I know many trans women, and I've never in my life, in fact, felt unsafe in company of any woman. Well, if you're looking at me like that, maybe.
Well, no, absolutely.
Any trans woman,
no.
I have only ever potentially felt unsafe in company of a cis man.
Yeah. Cis man is a man who identifies as a man at birth and is still a man. Yeah. So, and then the other topic, which has been used for this hate, is to do with sport. And this is an area that I know you don't want to talk about, and it is really complex. And even a trans friend said to me, I understand this topic. I understand that it's not as simple as it's okay for all trans women to compete at sport because it might change the space of our sport. And I don't have a solution, but that is a different topic to giving people basic human rights.
Yeah, it's a difficult topic. And like, you know, when it comes to professional sport, I can't comment on that. I don't know if I know enough.
Exactly.
About it. But there's like, you know, small football leagues and stuff that have come out and said you can't play football for women if you're a trans woman. And that is horrendous. Like
when there's no competition or cups of it. I think this is an area where we need to be careful because we don't know the advantage of being born a man compared to a woman with, you know, competing and what's important and what isn't. And so I think this is an area that I would much rather they consulted on that and they worked out how to move forward than consult on who is a woman and who isn't, because that they think solves this problem when it doesn't. That creates huge other problems.
There has been some positive.
Okay. Has it?
Amongst all the negative. Well, little bit. So my friend Claire, who's incredible, she's been around a long time, you know, working with community. She's a trans woman who's just incredible. And she's been affected by this a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I try to talk to her, and it's hard because I can't really do anything to help her. But, you know, I feel how much she's struggling. I'm still getting up, going to work, getting some help. fighting for rights. And the positive news was, I think she was really worried about her local gym, and she contacted them. And I think initially they come back with an email that wasn't quite clear, and they were asking her to come in and discuss this thing. But actually, when she went in, the way they discussed it was actually really, really nice. And they said, as far as we're aware, nothing changes for us. So you carry on as usual.
Yeah.
They've not asked her to use other bathrooms or changing rooms or anything like that. Brilliant. And a lot of companies aren't doing anything because a lot of them probably can't afford to put extra toilets in.
That's topic.
And second of all, these are people that they know and whatever. And like you said, it's not a law at the moment.
It's an interpretation.
Exactly. So, loads of companies are, going same as always. But there are companies like Barclays.
What have they done?
Oh, they've told their staff that are transgender that they will have to use the opposite toilets and stuff. I'm literally moving my money from. I've been banking with people. Loads of people are moving their money from Barclays right now because that is quite. But of course, they sponsor FA, don't they?
The football.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the football,
Very
obviously.
transphobic.
No gay footballers in the main league. I mean, of course there aren't. For male, obviously. Female, completely different, and a real celebration of gay rights. But anyway, so it's hugely complicated. Hopefully you're very clear on where we stand. Hopefully in the next month, the interpretation that comes out will make it clear and give rights back.
Just thinking back, like talking about Barclays and also British Transport Police kind of had this very knee-jerk reaction to it all, where they said, like, in custody, the strip searches will be carried out for trans women by men police officers. And again, that's just horrible, and I can't get my head around it.
Yeah.
But we also have to understand, when I go to Barclays and I'm talking to someone that works there, they've made no decision about this.
No.
They potentially didn't know anything about this. Same as I've been talking, obviously I work with British Transport Police and I've been talking to my officers, and they're like, they had some kind of briefings, but they're not sure what, like, it's all very unclear.
Yeah.
And it was unnecessary reaction. So I take my hat off to Surrey Police. Hadn't come up with any kind of statement at the moment. They are talking to us as a community.
Okay.
And they're having meetings and they're waiting to see what other guidance there will be, and then probably make a statement, and hopefully, a good one. We've got to bear in mind that a lot of times, like maybe Barclays and BTP, this was only brought on from some person up there that never potentially even consulted people of our community.
Yeah, no, agreed. Okay, so I mean that's
that. That was heavy.
Yeah, trans. There's not much laughs there, but hopefully good news will come on the horizon, and that this will bring together reasonable people, and reasonable people will say, no, I'm not going to let one or two minorities make a difference to the world that I want to live in.
And please, if you are listening and you're still unsure about how you feel free to get in touch with us or send us an email. We can give you a phone number, we can have a phone call, we can chat, because it is interesting to see other people's views. Obviously, I don't accept any kind of transphobic or homophobic views, but I'm prepared to help someone understand better. I don't know.
Yeah, don't ring me. Can't even have time to speak to Jana, let alone.
This is true.
But, so other people pinged the pod.
Ping and pang.
Ping pong.
That should be our name. Ping and pang. And then we don't have to argue who first.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's ping and that's me.
Well, there's a lot of ping there. But Lou, my great friend Lou, an amazing voice, by the way. Check her out when you can. I mean, we're still waiting for the jingle. We're still waiting for jingle.
If you say that one more time on this pod, I will go and find this Lou and beat it out of her.
So she was saying, as a T, should we talk about therapy?
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is actually a really good segue, because when we've been talking about all the topics with the trans community, one of the things we mentioned was it isn't the reality of what's going to happen. It's the anxiety and how you feel inside. And that's why I would say I have become a huge, massive, total supporter of therapy. I think it has previously had a really bad rep. Like, people that need therapy, that's because they're a nutcase. when actually, if you have a problem with your car, you would take it to the garage.
Yeah.
There are experts there of working under the bonnet with an engine that will help. If you have a problem with your mind, which we all have because our minds are incredibly strong and that's what their power is, you sometimes need an expert that can help you.
Why are you looking at me? I ain't getting under your bonnet, baby.
Get under the bonnet, baby. So I am a huge supporter of therapy. So much so that every one of my family are currently in therapy. Therapy.
What?
Yeah.
Everyone?
Everyone. So Emily goes to play therapy, which is where she loves it. She gets to play with dolls and enact parts of her life. And they're trying to work out if there's any trauma. Might not be. But if there is, then these are things you can talk about and address and start that process that it's okay at any point in your life to have a conversation about how you're feeling.
Fabulous.
Isaac chose to go to counsellors at school, and he's like, it's great. He gets 1-to-1, 45 minutes. He can talk to them about anything that's worrying him. And Vicky and I, let's go through it. Right, so Vicky at university went to therapy to start with some of the issues she had about, how she felt, maybe parent topics and was she loved enough and all of those sort of things, which again, doesn't mean the reality. It's how you feel in your head. We lost a baby and we both had grief therapy together. That was really important because we grieve differently. And only in therapy did she realize that because she grieves very openly and out and loudly and, weeping. And I'm a more, let's just work and try and pretend it's not happened type person. But in therapy, you talk about it and you do open up about your feelings and you do weep. And then she could accept that mine was a quiet grief and hers was a loud grief. So we had marriage counselling therapy, which we've had throughout our marriage. First time we had it was literally 2 weeks after getting married. We walked in, we were like, we just thought we'd start our relationship with having some counselling.
Oh.
I think the woman thought we were...
Who does that?
Well, it was a really healthy, yes, everything was wonderful. And I think she probably stuck her fingers down her throat a few times. But 2 years later, we went back and it was like, well, she's doing this and she's doing that. And it was only by talking to someone that we started listening instead of fighting. And one of the things she said that I will never forget is, and we still see this counsellor today, is she said, guys, do you want to win this argument or do you want to learn to be able to live together and win together? And it's like,
Aww.
Oh yeah, shit, this isn't about winning. This is about surviving as a couple.
Wow, I feel you've had so much therapy. You maybe should give me some. Like, I am 100% due some therapy. I've been saying and promising everyone I'm going to get myself on therapy.
Have you ever been?
I tried once, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, that's really important.
Oh, yeah.
You did?
I forgot about that.
And did it work for you?
Well, no.
And that's okay, right? Because therapy is like a mechanic. Again, you take your car to one mechanic, they twizzle and turn and it doesn't make a difference. That's okay. It doesn't mean you stop going.
No, of course.
To mechanic. So
no, I think you're right. I think therapy is good, and I should definitely do some. And I think I will try that.
Do you want to talk about why you think you should have some therapy?
No, I don't want to make this part more depressing.
Okay, but it's so I can cut this, but it relates to the grief of when you had a parent die.
Yeah.
And I think that's really common that a lot of people don't deal with.
No, I'm refusing to.
Right. And that's where therapy can help, because if you don't, at some point it will release and you can't control it. Whereas in therapy, hopefully you can control the release.
Yeah, I know I should do it. I know.
So thank you, Lou, for that one.
Burying my head in the sand for this one, but I know I need to do it. I need to deal with the grief.
Yeah.
I've had loads of grief in my family, and I'm not. I know. Okay, I'm doing it. Aww. This is my therapy.
Yeah,
well, and this is it. We are a therapy.
Honestly, it is. Other teas.
Happy teas. Oh my goodness, big tea.
Big tea? Where are we going? Back
We're
to
not
tits,
talking about tits, no. Transport.
Oh,
this is me. Like, I work in transport. Love trains, apparently.
Choo-choo.
No. do you know, it's all about infrastructure for me. I love the railway infrastructure. It's amazing. This is what I do. But recently I have been falling in love a bit more and more with trains. And somehow I ended up on a steam train yesterday on the old Watercress line. And it was a proper beautiful steam loco. And I was in there helping to shovel some coal, and I was
Into
amazing.
the, do they call it an oven?
Yeah, well, that's what I've been calling it. So I
Okay.
forgot to ask what it's
You were
called.
shoveling into the oven.
The heat in there is insane because, like, it's got to create all this steam to move that train up and down the hills. And oh, it was amazing. It was so good. Do you know what? I come home in the evening. I had a meeting afterwards, and no one mentioned anything. And then I come home late in the evening. I'm looking in the mirror thinking, I should probably have a shower. And I'm like, oh, my hair is looking good today. It was like a darker colour. I'm like, why has this white gone so dark? Like, it was like ashy. And then I went ashy. Oh my God.
You had half of
I had so much ash in my hair. It made my hair colour, like, it was so freaking cool.
Oh.
It was a really nice colour, but then I thought, I need to wash this. And it was literally loads of black coming off my hair.
So ash lights, you had
Ash lights.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
nice.
So yeah, I'm very much into trains these days, but it's all about the infrastructure for me. You know, making those trains move up and down the lines between Waterloo and Weymouth.
Wow. You're like the modern day Thomas.
Yeah.
We'll call you...
No, isn't the fat controller, which
No,
is
that's
not
me.
allowed to. Apparently, he's not allowed to be called that anymore.
Well, understandably. I mean, it is
Yeah.
fattest, isn't it?
What do they call him though? You
Round-
watch these things.
Well, it's not. It's been a while, to be honest. I think it's just called the controller.
The control, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was hard. Sorry, people. Right. So I haven't got much to say about trains, other than yes, they're wonderful, and I really wish. So in a couple of weeks, me and Jana are going to do a bit of a trip, and I'm so excited. We're going to get the train there. We're going to have a few beers there and on the way back. Great, you know, in terms of our carbon footprint. But they are doing
Engineering works.
engineering on the line because it's a bank holiday, which I understand, but it's just such a pain. No, we're driving.
Yeah, it's okay. But talking about transport, what is your favourite type of transport?
Oh, I love my bike because I cycle to work. It's the most incredible way to get your head into that space to work and then come away from work and you get your head back out of work and back onto home. So I would say bike because to me, it's the closest thing to flying you can do when you are powering it because you're... So yeah, I said bike.
Lovely.
How about you? What's your...
Well, it's got to be the plane that's taking me really far away, somewhere like Thailand. No, I don't actually like flying. I like driving. I do. I like driving around this beautiful country.
Well, that's true.
It is, yeah, I do love that. But yeah, but there's some idiots out on the road, so that's not always safe, is it?
Yeah.
Actually, I escaped death 3 times in the last 3 weeks.
Really? On the
Literally,
roads?
I swear to you.
What do you mean?
About 3 weeks ago, Molly and me and her mum were travelling down the motorway, and the car behind me was not going to stop. But I made a manoeuvre that kind of saved us, and we were all like, the girls were completely quiet, like when it was happening. And I'm
So
like,
they literally were just piling on to you?
Yeah.
Why? So did you stop them?
They were too close.
Oh,
They didn't
okay.
have time to stop.
Okay.
There was a car in front of me. Anyway, I've made a manoeuvre that actually saved us.
So you were
from
able
getting
to
hit.
get onto another lane?
It was fine, but like I said, Molly and her mum went really quiet. I'm like, I think they're a bit scared, but it was good. They didn't panic, which made me not panic.
Okay. And can I... Sorry.
2 weeks ago,
Wait, before you go to the next one, this is why everybody always leave 2 seconds between you and the car in front because it doesn't get you there any quicker to be closer. And if something does happen, you've got that space. If there's an arsehole behind you, you can use that space to slow yourself down to give them a chance. So 2 seconds. Anyway, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like chill, people.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, at work, we were looking for the fencing issue. So we parked up, me and the 2 police officers I had with me on the day. And I said to guys, stay here. I'm just going to walk down this path, see what's there. And I walked up on this road that has a little bridge going over the railway. And it's narrow. And now I have 2 choices. Do I walk all the way back to the car or I go to this bridge because it's right there? And I'm like, it's fine. I'm wearing full orange. I've got head torch if needed. Just walk up to this bridge. And as soon as I said it to myself, I see this car, and I kid you not, it's a small, narrow road, and it's doing 100 mile an hour.
You are kidding
going
me.
over the bridge, and I have no time to decide what to do at all. And as he goes over the bridge, he flies up in the air, lands, and like swerves into me, at which point I jumped into fence.
Oh my God.
And he then drives off. I have literally shit my pants. I was unable to make a phone call or anything. I stood there shaking.
Oh, damn right.
I literally looked death in the eyes. Honestly.
Oh my God.
I was in such a shock. I then managed to radio the boys, and I said, boys, I'm here at such and such on the bridge. Can you come and get me? I literally cannot walk anywhere. I'm not walking anywhere. They come pick me up, and they said I looked like a ghost. And it was literally, they were like, are you okay? So I explained what happened. They're like, okay, just sit in the car.
Yeah, but that person someone needs to get that
I
number plate.
wish I had my body cam on, which I didn't feel like I didn't need it on.
So
but
you've
if
got
I
the
did,
camera, but it wasn't turned on.
no. So
okay.
If it was, obviously I would have potentially got his the speed like that coming at you.
That's ridiculous.
And the last one, we just come back from Peak District, and it's a huge issue there. Boy racers, it is dangerous on the roads there, and we literally had a car again fly at us on the side. He was coming around the curve, which he was never going to do at that speed, and it was coming at us. And again, thanks to keeping calm, Molly keeping calm, and doing the right manoeuvre, that we avoided being literally, potentially, I could have been really badly.
Yeah, because he would have come into your side of the door. Oh man!
It literally, it's a split second. So guys, seriously,
slow down.
Yeah, chill your pants, man.
Oh yeah, get somewhere. Don't get there dead.
Anyway, so much on transport.
Yeah.
How much time we got?
Well, we've already done 57 minutes, so we've got no time for any of these.
We have to mention this one. We do.
Tats.
Yeah. When we ask people on Instagram what tea should we talk about, Izzy, who is absolutely incredible tattoo artist that does all my beautiful tattoos,
which are beautiful,
commented, tattoos. And I'm like, how did I not think about that? Of course, tattoos. We should talk about tattoos. But you don't have any. No. I think you should have some because they are beautiful. But you think skin is beautiful.
That's my topic, is that I look at my skin and I go, it's amazing, God-given skin. And it's actually starting to look quite wrinkly. And yeah, but yours doesn't look wrinkly. So as soon as you start looking wrinkly, all those beautiful bits of art are going to look wrinkly.
No, they're not. I actually saw a woman walking down the road. Right. She was in her 70s, fully tattooed, and I mean like neck, arms. She looked stunning.
Okay.
It's never going to look like as beautiful and smooth as it does now when you're older. But if it's good art, if you make sure you see a good artist like Izzy,
it's always going to... I mean, you do. Your tattoos are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. They're not all from Izzy, but most of them now are.
Yeah, and you wouldn't go anywhere else now,
I wouldn't. No, she's mine.
Okay.
She's my tattooist.
Tattooist? Oh, lucky you, Izzy, because there's a lot more space. Although not as much as there used to be. Anyway, we then had lovely Sam talk about your talents. Couldn't think of any. So we haven't got, and we're over time. So, next time we do tea.
Next time we'll think of talents or people that are talented.
Yeah, that we admire.
Us. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think we should.
Yeah, people we admire with talents. Then Simon came with tops, tongues, torture.
I think he's meant that for a different kind of channel. Or
I do. 0800 numbers, Simon. That's what you need. Torturing tongues.
Or therapy.
So on that note then, I mean, I know that has been a difficult pod for you, so I'm going to give you a big cuddle.
No, I think I just touched her boob.
Tits again. I knew she'd get back there. But yeah, so thank you for bearing with us, and we will see you all on the next one.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, well, yes, we'll be talking about our road trip next time.
Oh yeah, we're going to Leicester.
We're going to Leicester cricket match.
So tune in for the next one, and hopefully there will be some good news about the ruling.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of positive news, and we'll talk to you about going to Leicester.
Yay.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye from Jana.
Bye.
Bye from Jo.
Bye from Jo. Do we normally do that?
Yeah.
Don't you normally say, so it's bye from Jana? And I said, it's bye from Jo.
Yeah. So I said bye from...
Did you? Sorry, bye from Jo.